Welcome back. Hope you're feeling loved up because that's what we are focusing on this morning, on relationships and how best to navigate them in 2025 and use our time sparingly. Just how important that time is and why we need to spend it meaningfully. And joining us are, well, two that are clearly doing it and sharing their journey, Amber and Nick Wright. They've got it right. They are a married couple, obviously, who create very relatable and very often comedic marriage content on TikTok. Now, if you haven't seen their content, take a little gander at this.
Hey.
Oh, that's sexy talk right there. Fluffing the please. And he was, hey? He was busy primping and preening. Nick and Amber, can we give them a feel-good round of applause just for 2025? Because we need to start the year with a bang, whether we're doing it solo, whether we're doing it as a couple. Now, we got to ask how you guys met, because we've heard some really interesting stories, so please don't make it boring, okay? You got hit by a car, you were driving... No.
Not
quite. Although if she was driving, no, I'm just saying.
Wow, hey?
Your shots fired early on.
No, you earn the right. After 8 years of marriage, you can make dad
I get
jokes
one
like
a year.
that. Yeah.
I used it a bit early.
We got a reserve card somewhere in studio. But how did you guys find each other?
Actually, our story is super unique.
Yes.
We met playing touch rugby.
Yes.
So
Okay.
One of my friends, he was actually a teammate on my team, he played a corporate tournament with Amber. And he obviously had an eye for talent because he saw her skills and he invited her to come and
There are
train
about
with
5
us.
double meanings in that, okay? When you say he had
He had
an
an eye for
eye...
talent, and he did. And I pitched up to practice one day and there's this bombshell. Yeah, it was. So that's actually where we met, that first practice.
Yeah, so in 2011, at St. Stithians in Johannesburg, so we're both from Johannesburg, so we met in Joburg. And then after that meeting, we ended up playing together on a team, well, for years after that, but for a few months before we started dating.
Wow, who's the better player?
So touch rugby was my dream, okay? She came in, within 2 years, she'd made the South African side, she blew past me. And actually that first practice, I had a torn hamstring. But I was like, I'm going to show her some things. I'm going to teach her some stuff. I had like a black and blue
It's
leg.
the Wade for Nicker.
And I got in there, and she was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go make the South African side. So.
Okay, but actually...
Here's some ice. Some ice. There we go, boy.
Sit down. Let me do
Yeah,
this.
but then he proceeded to ignore me for a few months. It turns out he was in a relationship at the time, so he was doing a good thing. But I was like, what did I do? I mean, this dude won't even look at me. He won't even talk to me.
It turned out I had game just because I was ignoring her.
You had no game, yeah.
And I was like, why is this guy not... I was like, I'm spending way too much time thinking about this guy ignoring me.
Worked out perfectly.
But yeah, and then that was August, and the February we started dating of this.
Who made the first move? Who was brave enough? Okay, well done. So presumably you waited for the previous chapter to be closed.
That chapter was closed.
No judgment here.
Thank you.
So that being said, what is it about this hunk of man meat over here that won you over? What made you fall in love?
It's very interesting because of what we currently do, being couples comedy, but his sense of humor was one of the things that I fell in love with.
That's beautiful.
It really was. Like, I just have these memories of us, these young, early 20-year-olds, brushing our teeth at night, and us just laughing, him making me laugh so much. And it's amazing that now it's part of our job, and we get to do that together and make the world laugh, which is so cool.
There is a passion here for this. How did you consciously arrive at that decision to go all in? Because a lot of couples, especially in the current age of social media, will have it kind of as a side hustle, or it's just there. Was it the fact that you were getting good traction? Was it the way it felt to be able to do this, a response from one couple? Why take this to the degree that you have?
I think it's a combination of those things. I mean, this was always something that Amber was passionate about, and you can tell from her she's so extroverted and so creative, and that was something that she always was looking for an outlet for. And then, we did one video. I was not interested at all in social media. And we did one video together, actually our first TikTok, one of our first TikToks that we filmed that went viral. And she was like, okay, you got to get involved here. This is working.
The people demanded.
Yeah. You know what's annoying is that, like, this has been my dream forever. And I'm pretty sure that everybody on social media is just a Nick fan, and I'm just like, here is the like.
How does it feel, Miss Touch Rugby?
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
how does
That's
it
the first
feel?
time we've made this connection. That's so true.
Damn, I didn't think about that.
So there is a lot of synchronicity here. You guys do match each other beautifully, which is great. Marriage is a different prospect, though, because that's the layers below. It requires you to do a hard audit, well, hopefully, of yourself going into that process. The decision to do that, how did that come about, and what did that look like for you guys in getting to that point?
So we were very young, but I think that we both just realized when we met, and I realized very early on when he was like insisting on we started dating, and I wasn't sure I wanted to get into a relationship.
In like a non-creepy way.
Whatever. Yeah.
But the more time I spent with him, the more I realized he was unlike anyone else I'd ever met, unlike any guy I'd ever met. We share so many passions and so many hobbies, and we can laugh together. So we had a lot of things in common, and he's just an unbelievable human being. And life has thrown a lot of curveballs at us, and I think that, you know, we've really just stepped up to the plate, and we've taken on all of these challenges, and they've made us grow. I think we've both really been committed to growing as people individually and keeping our marriage, you know, exciting.
Work at
and
it.
Exactly.
Work at it.
All the time.
And you do. It becomes a project that you can work on together. And I think my wife and I also held a level of accountability, self-accountability, which I don't think is a real psychological term, but it did become a big thing. So you've got this beautiful union. You guys match. You look amazing on paper and social media, and then life happens. You speak about challenges. It doesn't get much bigger than what you guys have had to face as a couple. Talk to me about that biggest challenge that you've had to face.
So 2020, right before we went into lockdown, I found a lump in my right breast. And at the time, thought nothing of it. I mean, I was 27 at the time. A few months later, went in for surgery, they removed it, and it turned out that it was breast cancer. And, you know, it was like 10 days before my 28th birthday, the last thing you ever think of hearing, think you're going
it's
to
not
hear
even
or be
on the
told.
radar.
And so for us, that was a massive bombshell in our lives. But I think, testament to who we are, we just took it in our stride, and we were like, we have faith that I'm going to get through this. We have each other, and we're just going to throw everything that we have at this. And we did. I mean, I think I'm so unbelievably proud of how we handled my cancer journey. And this man was unbelievable.
No, but I think it goes back to your previous question about what was the thing that led us to make the big decision to get married. I think we both shared and share a very specific perspective on what marriage is. And I think what we were blessed to find when the curveball came and the crisis came was that we had a shared commitment to the fact that this is a lifetime commitment.
Till death do us part.
Yeah.
And it can
And in
try.
sickness
And when you
and
say-
in
Can
health.
try.
When you say that at the altar, you
Yeah.
say it without knowing what it means. Of course, you're young and you don't understand. But when it came, we realized we were committed to this for life.
You're in it together going through this
Yeah.
journey. And I think for me, I can only speak from a man's perspective. And I've never gone through what you've gone through, but I've witnessed that level of pain in someone that I care very deeply about. So you've clearly survived this and you pushed through. So I don't need to tick that box. I want to ask you the question, what was the darkest moment for you through that process when you can't do the battling yourself, when
Yeah.
you've got to just be there in the corner? What was the toughest part of that for you, man?
I think that's exactly what it is. In the beginning, you're really just in survival mode. And what you want to do is put your hands to something. You want to help. You want
Act.
to
The action.
You want to save. You want, and I think the realization comes at a certain point that there really is nothing that you can do other than pray for her, support her in the practical ways. But it's one of the real challenges of cancer is that the person going through it ultimately is alone in the core of it. Obviously, support and love, and that's all that you can do. But I think to answer your question, that the darkest moment is really the realization of, I remember seeing her one afternoon after one of her chemo sessions lying on the bed and just not being able to do anything other than just go and sit in the other room and wait for her to wake up, So that's that's tough, but that's when you pray and when you just find ways to support in any way you can.
I suppose it's those moments where you ask for strength. Well,
Yeah.
I'll give you a reason to be
Yeah.
strong then,
Yeah.
and you do it. I'm loving you guys. Now I feel so guilty about sending you off right now to go and take on yet another challenge together. But you shot yourselves in the foot by looking so physically able and ready. And now we've got two of the best touch rugby players in the land about to be put through their paces. Go and do your fitness, gang. Inspire us.
Thanks, Graham.